Good evening, everyone. Welcome to GA, especially welcome to any first-time people joining us if this is your first General Assembly meeting. So we're going to get started here with attendance. When Secretary Digby calls your name, if you're a voting member, please answer present and voting. Most of you know the drill, but just to be sure. So Secretary Digby, will you please take attendance?
Representative Torres. Representative Choi. Representative Asali.
Representative Legman. Representative Chen. Representative McGarry.
Present and voting.
Representative Amin.
Present and voting.
Representative Rooker.
Present and voting.
Representative Macedonia.
Present and voting.
Representative Christofferson.
Present and voting.
Representative Sarda.
Present and voting.
Representative Lee.
Present and voting.
Representative Tingley.
Present and voting.
Representative Rangaswamy.
Present and voting.
Representative Liu. Representative Cyan.
Present and voting.
Representative Huang. Representative Thompson.
Present and voting.
Representative Stump.
Present and voting.
Representative Feaster.
Oh, proxy.
Representative McHenry.
Proxy.
Representative Lambert.
Present and voting.
Representative Komeyer.
Present and voting.
Representative Heck. Representative Tran.
Present and voting.
Representative Toomey.
Present and voting.
Representative Smith. Present and voting. Representative Shaw. Representative Sade.
Present and voting.
Representative Cruz.
Present and voting.
Representative Huffman.
Present and voting.
Representative Ha.
Present and voting.
Representative Cunningham.
Present and voting.
Representative Brown Graves.
Present and voting.
Parliamentarian Gladys.
Present.
Internal Development Chair Duder.
Present.
Treasurer Ridgway.
Present.
Treasurer Payne.
Present.
Speaker McKee.
Present.
Vice President Gallo.
Present and voting.
Vice President Brown.
Present and voting.
Vice President Fitch.
Present and voting.
Vice President Williams.
Present and voting.
Vice President Vaughn.
Present and voting.
President Hale. Okay, thank you. Please rise now for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, one really quick note before we move on too much. For attendance and for names in general, both Secretary Digby and myself are still getting names down, especially pronunciations. So if we do pronounce your name wrong, or if we're not, or if when I call on you I'm not quite certain of it, feel free to let us know either right then or tell us after the meeting. But it is important to us that we get those correct. So do just let us know at some point. But otherwise, Vice President Vaughn, if you'd be so kind.
Hello, everyone. We're going to start off right away back from retreat with a bang by starting with two presentations. So our first presentation is going to be an update on the progress for the new University Center from Joanne Brown, the University Architect, Glenn Nichols, the Vice President of Student Affairs, and Steve Campbell, the VP of Facilities and Planning.
So many of you have noticed a large muddy hole where the walk used to occur to North Campus. I thought we'd begin just by flying you through the finished building. The building, as we're proceeding around it now, we're in the Freiberger Field looking towards the student organization wing, which will actually ramp down and touch Freiberger Field as it approaches the Cleveland Museum of Art. Circling back up, we're going to rise up the ramp of the roof, which is a planted green roof and is topped by flat plate solar collectors that'll provide power to some of the systems in the building. The building, as you'll notice, unlike the building surrounding it, is very transparent. It's essentially a glass building with a metal frame and a green roof. We've seen the outside. We're going to go through the south door between Twing and Calvin Smith Library. And immediately beyond that front door is a multimedia event wall that'll allow gaming as well as current events, and a lounge area with a two-story space. Turning around, walking down through the building towards Bellflower, there's a large dining facility with 4 venues, and it'll seat 150 persons in a flexible seating arrangement. Further in is an area we're calling the Commons. It's a 2.5-story gathering area with wood steps that serves both to get to the second floor and as a seating area. Beyond that, heading further west towards Bellflower, is the student organization wing. This includes both fixed office and open office flexible areas to accommodate changing needs of student organizations, with a dramatic 2-story space and sloped roof. You see the amphitheater outdoors just beyond that portion of the wing, and an overlook to the upper level of the student organization wing up above on the left. Going back to the Commons, we're going to head up to the second floor, heading north towards Guilford, and we'll pass the Flora F. Stone Mather Center for Women, which is located along that route, and the Inamori Center for Ethics and Excellence that will have a prominent place overlooking Bellflower and PBL further out. Heading back, we're walking again towards the south, looking over Rockefeller Park, Freiberger Field. We'll have some killer views. And this is the 2.5-story clear story lit as well as glazed west facade lit commons area. And what we're standing on is actually the pre-function space, the gathering area for folks going into events, into a multi-purpose event room that can accommodate up to 1,000 people. We'll turn around from this pre-function space and actually walk into the event space. And this is an area that can be set up for dining, for concerts, for symposia, lectures, and is actually subdivisible into thirds through what's called a sky wall that drops out of the ceiling. So this is the event space. We're going to fly through the window, rise up over the arts courtyard between Guilford, Mather, and the new building. And now we're walking between Twing and the new building. There's a bar restaurant that'll be sited on your right that accommodate 70 to 90 people. Will have its own outdoor deck facing Euclid. And then again, we're looking at the south entry. Circling back, hovering over Freiberger Field, this is what the University Center will appear like at twilight from East Boulevard. It'll be a glowing beacon of activity and a real asset to University Circle. So that should whet your appetite. And Joanne Brown, who's our Director of Planning, Design, and Construction, can give you some details about the programs and the building itself. Joanne?
Great. As you saw in those spaces and flew through that, there's a couple areas that are common and may be of prime interest, and hopefully I have some answers on those spaces for you. That being the dining area and the commons area. That is set up for food service, as Steve mentioned. There's going to be 4 different food venues, one being a coffee shop, and then 3 other ones being, I think, pizza, deli, things like that. We're still working those through. Case cash is usable at those facilities, as well as then we'll have an ancillary or an additional bar restaurant. The commons area can also be used as an event space, along with the area that is up on the second level. So that really is a very active and really creates that spine and is along that walkway of the facility. There are meeting rooms throughout the space. In the fly-through, you actually did see some of the areas that have the large event space, but there are also some medium-size rooms as well as some smaller rooms. Do we have a clicker? If you would just want to go ahead and go through these slides, we'll just kind of, I'll talk as you just walk through those. Obviously, the goals of the University Center have remained the same. We want it to be a dynamic and iconic facility for us, mixed use, as well as high performance. The location, you're all aware, those of you who are new to the university for the first year, there is a fenced-off area and lots of work going on. There's also a webcam you can tap into from the how many have been on the web page and webcam? How cool is it, huh? Yeah, okay. This is just, again, an aerial view of it. These are some views. We'll just click through these. You saw these in the fly-through. Okay, there's some of that. This is the project timeline. We're slated to be completed mid fiscal year 14, so it's not far away, really. These are just some key milestones that we put up there. Construction has started. Perkins & Will is the architect that worked on this. We worked with folks from their Chicago office as well as their Atlanta office. And Donley's Construction is the CM at risk that's working on this project for us. These are just some of the big ticket items that we have and their dates there to give you an idea of the progress that we'll be going through the next couple months. That's the site logistics. That should be fairly where the fence is. We're going to get some signage on that in the next couple weeks, and some of that will include the photos you've seen today, as well as a QRC code for more information. This is just, excuse me. This is just the project summary, which again talks about the square footage of the spaces that are in the building. Student organization space, social and rec spaces, the multi-purpose space, which is basically the large event and the seminar rooms, the dining and food service, and then building support. Now we're going to start to move through the building. What we chose to do in the design and the location of this building is actually build adjacent to the existing parking garage, the Severance garage. So what you see shown in yellow here is the highlighted area where the basement actually wraps the garage. The existing exit out of that garage onto Bellflower that exists today is going to remain. Next to that, we're going to put a new loading dock in. The loading dock that had been there, for those of you who have been here before, is gone. No longer. So the new loading dock, and then the other spaces on this lower level, the basement level, will be mostly mechanical, electrical, fire suppression. There is an entry from the garage directly into this level that will take you into a lobby kind of corridor area that you can either go upstairs or an elevator into the facility. If you look in the upper corner, you can see the yellow area, which is actually the key plan to this wing of the building that's enlarged. At the top is the entrance from Bellflower. You come in that entrance, you come into a lounge area, again, an open space right as you come into the facility, and then there is a long corridor that gets you to the central point. You have, we've got administration, we've got Cecil, we've got student activities leadership, and then the blue space, the student organization space. Within there, you will see that we have some hard-walled offices, as Steve mentioned. There's 4 of those. They've been designated for the 4 larger entities of student orgs, as well as then a lot of open space with furniture that we will be looking at furniture and working with select folks. It may be, I'm assuming it will be some folks within this group on testing some things that may or may not work in there for you. This is the other side of the floor, and what you see here is primarily that commons and dining area towards the bottom of the page, as well as to the far right, the entrance off the oval and by Calvin Smith. Again, coming into a meeting room or meeting lounge, and then there is an elevator there as well as some stairs. I don't have my pointer with me, but you can see the large seminar room and the meeting rooms are off of the dining area, so if there's working lunches or things where you need catering, that will be available for all the areas, and that makes it a little more convenient. And those look out over that arts courtyard. What I want to point out here is the dark blue area, the Greek Life and Pan Council. That is an area that is an upper level, and that's a mezzanine, and so that will look over the space below, and there's a stair that will connect those two within that space. So with all the glass on all the sides and that connectivity and that openness, that is going to be a really dynamic space. And from what I understand, you guys have meetings till some late evenings, so you're going to be the beacon in the night with all the activity that's happening there. We also are relocating the Mather Women's Center as well as the Inamori Center, which Steve talked about. And you can see there's another medium-sized meeting room there, as well as, again, that's an informal small lounge where we just have some gathering spaces. This is showing you the large event space. It's set up with tables and chairs, pre-function. There is a deck or an event area, a potential event area right outside this space, which is very nice, and then that would exit down onto, again, that arts courtyard. So when we have events, or if you want to have activities and events during the year, that will be a very nice space. Then we have some restrooms, we have some back area space, there's a catering kitchen, a green room, et cetera, that support the large event space. And then another medium meeting room, and that one is set up with a little more AV equipment at this point, so that could be a potential gaming area as well. So, and then again, on that corner, some open lounge area. These are just some of the same renderings you saw before. And that is it. So I don't know if there's time to open the floor to any questions, or if you want to seek out myself or Steve, we'll be happy to answer anything.
We do have time for a few questions now. So if there are any, probably 3 or 4 questions, we could take those now. Representative Ranagoswamy.
Staying green and those kind of things. I know we have the green roof, which is nice. Is there anything we're doing with the windows? Because I know there's a lot of sort of recent technologies made with windows or even solar panels. And I'm not saying that might be expensive, but I'm just throwing that out there. And also, PBL has these special kind of trash cans that are like made in such a way where it pretty much encourages recycling very well. Like it has all the shapes and things, and I've seen those all across campus. But will there be things like that as well in the University Center?
Right, so to talk about the physical sustainability of the building itself, it is a smart building. It will have smart technology. It will be within a building management system. So the HVAC systems will be controlled. Lighting will be controlled by sensors. When you are in spaces, not in spaces, both from a physical as well as a lighting, those will be controlled. We do have shades that are actually on the windows. We don't have the high-tech film or gas within the glass, but we will have shades that will be also put into that building system. The main wall between the Commons area and Freiberger Field is actually going to be a double wall construction. It's about 36 inches wide, and that we're getting the most sun as well as the most heat gain from that area. So that's also a very effective way to control some of the heat gain there. Regarding the sustainability throughout the building, just as far as recycling, we definitely, we're starting that. You're seeing it in many places around campus. That will continue into this facility. Whether or not we're standardizing on units, we're not sure. It will we're seeking LEED certification, minimum of silver on the building. We're also going to incorporate a lot of LEED signage, so that as we have areas that we're conserving or we're using energy, we're going to be talking about that. So there will be those opportunities within the building.
Other questions? Mr. Judner?
Yeah, thanks. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the 4 restaurant or the 4 dining establishments that will be in there, specifically if they're being run by Bon Appetit, and how the bar restaurant will compete or coexist with the Jolly Scholar, which is right next door.
Okay, I'll take some of those questions, and we actually have a representative from Bon Appetit who can talk a little more about the individual venues. But where we are at this point is the bar restaurant is definitely has been approached as a separate entity that will coexist with what's there, but really give you a flavor of going to another space. So that currently there's RFPs out, and we're looking for separate individuals other than the university to run that. Regarding the food stations, right now we've set it up, I believe, with a pizza, pasta, a deli, and then something that can actually change. It could be, you know, Asian cuisine and something this week, and it could change out. As well as permanently on the corner as you first walk in will be coffee, pastries, light foods there. Anything else, Jim, you want to? Okay. Okay, so that's where we're at.
Representative Thompson?
In terms of operations, I saw there was the kitchen that was next to both the bar / restaurant and then another event space. So is the kitchen going to actually support both at the same time? So if I'm in the restaurant and some event's going on, I'm just concerned that it'll be.
No, and maybe we could flash back to that first floor area. What we have is we've actually got 2 separate kitchens. They're just adjacent to each other, back to back, is what you'll see there. And the event space is, and the dining is adjacent to what I'm going to say the public venues, not necessarily the restaurant bar. The restaurant bar does have its own entrance from the outside, as well as the inside. So it can be completely, the next one, separated. Let's go, there you go. So what you see there are actually the 2 kitchens. Whoops.
Oh, okay, so there's 2 kitchens there.
There are 2 kitchens, one to service the food service on the dining side, and then one for the actual restaurant bar itself.
Representative Christofferson?
With respect to the Floristone Mather Center for Women and the Inamori Center for Ethics, what will their space be used for once they move to this new building?
We haven't determined that at this time.
Okay, that's all for questions for now, but if you do have any more that you think of, feel free to send them to me or to President Hale, and we'd be happy to get in touch and get them answered. So thank you very much for coming. We do have another presentation this evening as well, Vice President Vaughn.
All right, next we are very excited to welcome from Bon Appetit, Jim O'Brien, who is the resident district manager, and Dana Einhart, the residential dietitian.
Thank you. I see a lot of familiar faces in the room. I wanted to stop by tonight and introduce to you a new member of our management staff, Dana Einheit. She's going to be the dietitian on campus for Bon Appetit. She'll tell you a little bit about her education that she's just completed, what she's been doing on campus so far, and introduce you to our enhanced nutrition program that we started here at Case this year and also at Duke University, the first 2 universities to do that in our 450 plus accounts. And it's a real exciting program, and it's something that we're excited to offer the students. So here's Dana to kind of talk to you about it.
Hello, I'm Dana. I have just finished my dietetic internship recently. I'm about to take my dietetic examination. So I've been studying hard for that, but I graduated from Ohio State University in 2009, and I'm happy to be here on the Case campus with you guys. You can flip through. So basically what I'm going to talk about today is I'm here so that you can better understand the nutrition commitments of Bon Appetit. I'm going to talk about our role in providing nutritional information, which is something that Case has been asking for. So this is our take on how to provide you with that nutrition facts. How to utilize the new enhanced nutrition program, and more about different Bon Appetit wellness initiatives. So basically what Bon Appetit means is that it's fresh food, it's cooked from scratch. You know, our chefs are here to cook for you, so if anybody has any sort of dietary restrictions where you need something made special, we have students with celiac disease. We just had one with a fructose intolerance. Our chefs are here to cater to you guys. If you see something that you have, or if you want to see something on the menu, feel free to request it. The chefs will be more than happy to put it together for you. Then we have some new wellness programs, the enhanced nutrition indicators. I don't know if any of you have been in the dining halls, but they're the new green arrows that you're starting to see on all the signs. And then there's food for your well-being, which will be coming out on the first Wednesday of the first full week of the month. And then we also have core icons, which where are they going to see those at?
In the next month or so.
They should be out in the next month, and those will help you to distinguish between vegetarian products, vegan products, products made without gluten, different things like that. But I'll talk a little more in depth about them. So we're doing the new enhanced nutrition information because it's been a demand of yours. We want to continue our leadership in the industry by providing you guys with the nutrition facts that you're looking for, by showing you that foods made from scratch can be healthy, and that it's positioning us for the new menu labeling laws, which are coming everywhere. So this is what you're seeing in the cafeteria. This is the well-being indicator. Basically, the more full the arrow is, the healthier the option is for you. And it's taking into account your entire plate. So if you go to the salad bar and you notice that everything kind of has a low indicator, it's because it doesn't involve fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean protein. If you see one that has a full arrow, that's a balanced plate. So just, kind of be mindful that just because you think something's healthy and it doesn't have a full arrow, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad option. It just means that you have to put together your own plate. So then the well-being indicator is, it's going to show you the healthfulness of the food. It promotes the whole plate concept, and it basically takes your saturated fats, your trans fats, and your sodium, and it subtracts points for them, and it adds points for having protein, for fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and a low amount of added sugar. And then this is just a little bit about the eligibility criteria. Anything that has over 1,200 calories per serving, 48 grams of fat, 18 grams of saturated fat, or 1,850 milligrams of sodium automatically scores a 0. So those items are just classified as not healthy for you, even if it's just one of those things that's over. Anything with a full meal is going to have a higher score. So plant-based products, fish-based protein, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, they're going to give you the full arrow. Then food for your well-being is basically, it's a theme that happens every month that we're going to try to promote. Coming up in October, it's plant-based proteins. So hopefully we'll have a hummus tasting as one of the things, and you guys can vote for which hummus you like the best. We're just going to be promoting plant-based proteins. You should be able to see more of them throughout the cafeteria. You guys look like you're shaking your heads at the hummus. And so there's going to be a main display. It'll be at a table the first Wednesday of the first full week every month. And then there'll be other activities throughout the week. So the hummus probably won't be on a Wednesday, but we'll promote it ahead of time so you guys know what day to come and vote. And then the core icons, like I was talking about, are just to help you guys distinguish different products. So foods that are farm to fork, foods that are vegetarian. You won't always have to ask, you know, the chefs and the cooks. You'll be able to look at, it'll be a little circle with a picture on it next to what the product is. So it'll be right next to that new nutrition indicator. And then, you know, we're committed to wellness, so our chefs are cooking from scratch. We're still committed to socially responsible practices. We are actually going out next Wednesday to look at a perch farm to try to bring more local perch that is not overfishing Lake Erie to you guys at campus. And then we also serve a wide variety of meal items. And like I said, if you're looking for something special, just ask. Our chefs are more than happy to come up with new recipes and provide you guys with what you want. And then in conclusion, Bon Appetit's here to meet all your needs. If you have any sort of comments on how we can make our nutrition indicators more helpful to you guys, to make it easier for you to understand, just let me know. Watch for us on Wellness Wednesdays. Look for the core icons, and we hope to see you in the dining halls.
Okay, are there any questions? Representative Ranagoswamy.
This may seem like a ridiculous idea or request, but what if you could make some sort of app where you've got the options and you can combine them and it'll tell you your wellness indicator? Throwing that out there, sounds ridiculous.
That was done at Washington University last year, actually, by a student, in St. Louis. And we've reached out to Beth Kretschmar, who a lot of you know, my marketing director, is talking to a couple students in one of the engineering classes about that right now. I don't know how far it's gone, and she's not here right now, but that's being discussed right now. Yeah.
The question for Senator
Asley.
Mm-hmm.
Really appreciate it if it said something more like why it got this core name.
We are talking about that right now. There's the QR code on the papers, which links you to different nutrition facts, and we have discussed creating like a different QR code to put even on, have you noticed the signs that are just example plates? To put it on the example plate and kind of tell you guys why that option is healthier and why the other one is less healthy. So thank you very much, but we're working on that one too.
Other questions? Representative Cruz.
Going to be in the dining hall.
They're going to BRB in Tomlinson. Are they going to grab it and bag it?
Yeah, we committed to our client and to President Snyder to roll out in the residential units this information at the beginning of school. And we've kind of said that as the year progresses, we're going to roll it out to the retail areas as well. All of the national brands, Subway, Pizza Fusion, Einstein, and Starbucks have that information now. So we really just need to do it with BRB and grab it and, of course, bag it. And we will be doing that this year before you leave.
Are there any other questions? Okay, if not, if you do think of any later, again, you can send them along to either myself or President Hale, and we'd be happy to get an answer for you. But thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, we will be moving into old business. First item of old business is the inauguration of our new representatives, assuming President Hale, if you are here and ready. So if you are a newly elected representative in the fall elections, that would be all of you freshmen, please come to the front of the room now and stand nicely in front of my table facing the assembly.
I always manage to arrive like perfectly in time for something. You guys can face the other way, face that way. So we've been joined by our first year representatives after an awesome elections put on by our wonderful Commissioner Sarah Kate. And of course, we must inaugurate our new representatives. So, first year representatives, all those newly elected, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear as a representative to the USG to responsibly represent my constituency to the best of my ability. Further, I promise to faithfully uphold the Constitution and bylaws of the USG. You guys got the spirit, yeah. And to serve the students of CWRU with integrity and honesty. Congratulations. Yeah, you guys.
Okay, so welcome. You've officially gone through our inauguration oath. So it's sort of a little bit of a rite of passage, as I'm sure all the other representatives remember from spring inauguration. But for the rest of old business, to be clear about how this runs, for the nominations portions, if there are any further nominations for positions, we will take those nominations tonight. And if there is nobody here running for that position, those nominations simply remain open. If we do have candidates here for those nominations, we will close nominations, and that will move us into our elections process. So I'll cover that again when and if we get there, but I believe we will. But for now, are there any, is there any candidates here for the nursing representative position? Okay. If there's nobody here running for nursing rep tonight, are there any further nominations for nursing representative? Okay. If you do have any, again, send them along to Parliamentarian Gladys, and she'll take care of that. So moving along, is there any candidates here tonight for the engineering representative position? Okay, if there are not, are there any further nominations? Okay, once again, if you have any, send them along to Taylor, and she'll take care of that. Are there any candidates here for the arts and sciences representative position? Okay, great. So at this time, are there any final nominations for arts and sciences representatives who are here this evening? Okay. Well, Representative Cruz. Okay. So with that, we'll move into elections. So Mr. Beckman, if you could please approach the podium. And Mr. Giannini, if you could please step out of the room while he gives his speech. So you'll have 2 minutes to address the assembly and take any questions. And you may begin whenever you are ready.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Justin Beckman. I am a sophomore running for the position of Representative of Arts and Sciences, or for the School of Arts and Sciences. I am a biochemistry and political science double major in the school. I would like to thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak to you, and thank you very much for the nomination for the position. Just a little bit about myself. As a biochemistry and political science double major, I feel that I represent something phenomenal that the school allows for the students, and that you can take such diverse passions in something like sciences and political science and combine them together and, you know, really embrace a unique combination of academics subject areas and create a very, you know, round holistic view of the world. And that's something that I think I could bring to USG. Also, I think that CASE is at a very important junction in its existence. We're rising in reputation and size, and I think USG is has a great part in that, and I'm very excited to have the opportunity to become a part of that. And at this point, I would like to open it up to any of you if you have any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Beckman? Representative Christofferson.
What experience do you have in any form of leadership or government?
I would say I don't have very much experience here at Case, but back in high school I was involved in several leadership positions, whether it was Science Olympiad or the math team. I'm very excited to be able to test my ability and gain a more pronounced leadership role, and I think I could definitely try and do my best through USG.
Time for one last question, if there's one. Oh, Colleen?
You did a good job of explaining why you bring a holistic perspective. Can you share an example of maybe an idea that you might have to gather this very large college together in a program that might bring discussion to the floor?
Well, I think that's not a drawback of the school, but the fact that it is very large, I think it's very difficult to necessarily bring the school together quite easily. But I think if there were programs that would maybe unite groups of majors, so maybe groups of science majors together, and bring them together to some function, or maybe speaker panels that unite related science areas, or same thing for the arts, whether it be performance-based arts or educational-based arts, some kind of program like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
If
you.
you would please step out now so we can have our other candidate in. Vice President Fitch.
How many positions are open at this time?
So currently, one is remaining open as we only have 2 candidates running and 3 total spots. But yes, currently there are 3 vacancies. Okay, you'll have 2 minutes to address the assembly and take any questions. You may begin whenever you are ready.
Hello, my name is Daniel Giannini, and as you know, I'm running for the position of representative of the College of Arts and Sciences. Common questions concerning my time commitments, my ideas for my caucus, and committee involvement are answered in my letter of intent. So at this time, I'm free to open any other questions that you may have.
Are there any questions for Mr. Giannini? Vice President Gallo?
Yeah. Are you in any other leadership positions on campus? And if you are, can you talk about your experience with that?
Okay. Currently, probably my major position is Secretary of Beta Theta Pi, social fraternity. And as Secretary, I'm part of the exec, so I'm part of all the decisions made on chapter programming and discussions on ritual and stuff of that matter. So, and I also take minutes for those meetings.
Representative Brown-Graves?
So I see you stated that you would be interested in participating in the Student Life Committee and have worked on some of the endeavors in the past with the committee. Do you have any current ideas in terms of the Student Life Committee for this year?
Well, currently, I mentioned it briefly in the letter of intent that I'm heading an initiative to increase sustainability and efficiency in the grab it and bag it. So I guess I could tell you a little bit more about that very briefly. The idea is to eliminate a lot of the plastic waste that comes from the cutlery, the to-go containers, and the bags, and also to try to reduce the lines that prevent a lot of students from being able to use the facilities. So that would be my main initiative at this point.
One last quick question, Representative Kotmeyer.
Okay, what would you be most excited about if joining USG? Just anything.
Okay, I'd be very excited to join this group of student leaders and to be empowered to make collective change and to be empowered to make change as an individual as well in the university.
Okay, thank you. If you could please step out now so we can discuss. We will be moving into discussion now. I'll set 3 minutes for discussion on the candidates. When we vote, we will be voting on each person separately. So we'll vote first on Mr. Beckman and then on Mr. Giannini. So with that, are there any points for discussion on either candidate? Any points? Vice President Vaughn?
Yes, Dan has been at all of the student life meetings this semester. He has come prepared with his initiative for the bag it and the grab it to remove plasticware as much as possible. He's done his research. He's already set up to meet with people from the respective places in order to reduce those and done his research on what has been done within other universities to reduce plasticware. So he has been very prepared, and I have no concerns for him being a representative.
Any other points? Treasurer Ridgway?
Justin has been talking to me about USG a lot, and particularly his interest in finance. He went to one of the finance meetings with me, and and afterwards we talked a lot about how we give out, and seems to be like very passionate about it because he just asks a lot of questions. He wants to get very involved with it and try to help the community as a whole.
Okay, 2 good points in favor of the candidates. Representative Brown-Graves?
As current speaker of the Arts and Science Caucus, I would be very excited with working with both of these candidates. I think they would both be great. And on that call to previous question.
Okay, is there any dissent to ending discussion? Seeing none, we'll move into the vote. So first, we'll be voting for Mr. Beckman. So you can begin voting now. Please vote A, yes, to vote in favor of having Mr. Beckman elected as a representative for the Arts and Sciences Caucus. B, no, opposed, or C, to abstain. He does need greater than a 50% vote to be installed. Okay, and the vote passes, so we'll move right into the voting on Mr. Giannini. You may begin voting now. Please vote again, A, yes, in favor, B, no, opposed, or C, to abstain. And the vote passes. So, Vice President Williams, if you may welcome them back in, please. Congratulations, both Justin and Daniel, on being elected Arts and Sciences representatives. Okay, and that is, oh, Colleen?
Since we inaugurated our other officers, can we inaugurate them so they can move to vote immediately?
I see no reason not to, President Hale. So, Mr. Beckman and Mr. Giannini, or representatives-elect, if you could please come and stand in front of the front table and face the assembly. And President Hale will lead you through your oath of office.
Deja vu. If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear as a representative to the USG to responsibly represent my constituency to the best of my ability. Further, I promise to faithfully uphold the Constitution and bylaws of the USG. Faithfully. And to serve the students of CWRU with integrity and honesty. Congratulations.
If I could ask Mr. Dooner to please go in the hall and get them 2 eye clickers to use for voting this evening. Oh, Vice President Williams says it's taken care of. Never mind, Tom, you're good. Okay, is there any other old business? Seeing none, we'll move into new business. Is there any new business before the assembly this evening? Representative Thompson.
Move to introduce Bill B, 22-03.
Is there any objection? Okay, Vice President Williams, Speaker in the Pro.
Good evening, GA. Hope you're all doing well. The Finance Committee has actually been really busy. So we have this awesome recognition bill before you tonight. We have two new student groups on the table. So we have the competitive speech team. And to really quickly answer a question that I'm sure will probably come up, yes, we did have a debate team, but they actually emailed us probably late July, early August, saying that they would not be on campus this semester due to lack of interest. So this is actually a new student organization that started, as well as the Case Western Advocates for Cleveland Health, and they work primarily with the Cleveland Clinic to do community outreach through health. In addition, we have 5 student organizations who have been active in the past, but they failed to submit recognition documents at the end of last semester, so they have not been recognized. And this is simply to re-recognize them. One quick note, and as soon as I sit down and we go into discussion, I hope somebody will move to amend this, but under section 2, item D, that should not be improvement, that should be improvement. So I think a spell check probably just went awry. But so with that, I am open to any points.
Any points for the speaker? Representative Tingley.
Point of personal privilege.
Granted. Any points for the speaker? Okay. Representative Christofferson.
Speakeasy is the premier all-male a cappella group on campus. It is you have to audition to get into it. They're kind of a big deal. Like they did, and I'm not even joking about that. Like they, if you've ever heard them, for all the new first-year students, you heard them at the university welcome back during orientation, singing the alma mater. They are really good guys. Like they're really good. So, not to be biased there, but they're good. Absolutely. So Case Western Advocates for Cleveland Health specifically focuses, and they actually have a partnership that has been ongoing since March with the Cleveland Clinic. And part of that partnership includes renting or kind of an in-kind donation of the Cleveland Clinic's blood pressure, there's a glucose, cholesterol screening machines and equipment. And so this has a very direct medical focus to it. Whereas United Way was a little bit more holistic, a little bit more broad picture, this is a very specific focus on community health versus just community improvement.
Representative Ranagoswamy.
I mean, I find this interesting, and out of curiosity, what exactly is the competitive speech team doing?
So the competitive speech team, they're going to be doing with the National Forensics Association, and I found out, because when I heard forensics, I was thinking CSI, Law and Order, that they're going to go and argue about fingerprints or something. But what it actually, forensics means is it's speaking on behalf of the law. And so what they'll do is, for example, that they'll debate like a famous case, or they'll debate something related to evidence. In addition, there are also kind of poetry and monologue, and so there's, so it's really cool. Yeah.
Any other points for the speaker? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Vice President Williams. Is there a speaker in the con for the bill? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into discussion. Initial time limit of 3 minutes. Are there any points for discussion on the bill? Representative Ranagoswamy.
I mean, I think everything is straightforward, makes a lot of sense. A lot of the questions are answered. I like it. I called a previous question. Dissent, sorry. Okay.
Okay. Other points for discussion? Vice President Fitch?
Move to amend improvement to read improvement.
Is there any objection to amending, be it resolved, Section 2, Clause D, to read improvement instead of improvement? Seeing no objection, the amendment is friendly. Are there any other points for discussion? Representative Sabe.
Call the previous question.
Any dissent to ending discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into the vote. Please vote now. A, yes, in favor of passing Bill B 22-03. B, no opposed, or C, to abstain? Okay, Bill B 22-03 passes. Are there any other items of new business? Representative Stump?
Move to introduce Bill B 22-04.
Any objection? Okay, Speaker in the Pro, Vice President Williams.
Okay, long time no see. Now we have, this is a additional rolling funding bill. So as you can see, Finance Committee has, like I said, been very, very busy. In my 2 years here, this is probably the largest just straight up rolling funding bill that we've ever done. And if you notice, we approved, or we were suggesting to approve over $4,200, which is roughly a little under half of our current pool left for mass funding, rolling funding, I'm sorry. So if you look on the following pages in Appendix A, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 organizations or event requests that we have reviewed and made a recommendation on. One point to note is something that I'll also kind of mention in my board report. It didn't quite make it into this piece of legislation, but it will in future ones. Groups that are not funded anything, as in we give them $0, will no longer be included in bills. They will be included in my board report. That way that we give the group a time to come in and appeal should they choose to. For example, Case College Republicans came in and appealed the decision of the Finance Committee. So this just makes sure that we don't get into any sticky situations. So.
Are there any points for Vice President Williams? Any clarifying questions?
And please ask them at this point, because it's a lot easier to do them now than later.
Representative Cruz?
$50 for 50 colored pamphlets. Like, where are they getting these printed that it's going to cost them $1 a piece?
Printing services. Again, one of the things that when we get the request is that, as much information as possible is great. But the other thing that we do when we come back to them is say, okay, if you can get them printed cheaper elsewhere, do it, because then you can get more. Because we're certainly not going to tell them you printed 100 flyers for the same cost instead of 50. That's bad. We're going to tell them that's good.
Any other points for the speaker? Representative Choi?
Sure.
Yep.
How did you determine the amount allocated? Because it's very specific, that like 39 cents.
It is. So what we did was they came in requesting 5 new sets of equipment, and Finance Committee talked about it, and we decided that 3 would be a good number because their interests have been going up recently, but we just want to make sure that was a sustained, I guess, growth. And so instead of funding all 5, which would have been rather expensive, to just fund 3 out of the 5. So it represents 3/5 of the amount requested.
Any other points or clarifying questions for the speaker? Representative Lambert.
Was this changed since it was
Yes.
printed? Okay.
Yes. There was a Representative Toomey actually brought it to my attention. The one about the equipment purchase was actually left off. I was copying and pasting this table format, and that was the one I kept copying and pasting. Apparently, I forgot to actually include it. I kept just overriding it, so it's there now. Yes, so the amounts have been changed on the be it resolved clauses as well as at the bottom of the final page to reflect the updated totals.
Any other points for the speaker? Representative Shaw?
I had a quick question. So for the paragraph just above that, they requested money for gas and travel, but we didn't allocate anything for that. Don't we have some sort of percentage or something like that that we do fund?
Yes. So if you look at the rationale there, actually, they told us that this was going to be their 6th trip
Of this semester?
Of this semester, and
wow.
so when we saw that, it was one of those where it's like, well, that'd be really nice to fund, but at the price, it was like, maybe not. So.
Representative Toomey.
Clarifying point, it would not be the 6th trip of the semester, it would be for the entire year.
Okay, that's what we heard in committee, so
Okay.
you need to be careful there. So
All right.
that's what we were told in committee.
Any other points for the speaker? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Vice President Williams. Is there a speaker in the con? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into discussion. I'll set an initial 3 minutes for discussion. Are there any points? Representative Shaw?
So I understand that in discussion or in committee, it was told that it was the 6th trip of the semester, but it's possible that it could be the 6th trip of the year. And I think that just because the fencing club is extremely active, that shouldn't be held against them for not receiving money. In fact, if they do use all the money we allocate to them, I think that's a great thing, and that they're so active that they should continue and be encouraged to be active.
Any other points? Representative Ranagoswamy?
Question about fencing club. How much money did they receive in mass funding? Thanks.
While we're getting that question answered, are there any other points? Representative Cruz?
For the year, I know Representative Toomey said it's for the year. Is that the case? Is it happening this semester? And if not, why are they asking for funding for this semester? And if so, then maybe it should be reconsidered by the Finance Committee before it's discussed here.
Vice President Williams?
So if you note on the chart, it says the date of the event. One of the things that we are providing now, it is October 19th to the 21st, 2012, which would be the semester. So.
Treasurer Ridgway?
Just to respond to Samir's Representative Shaw's point, that this is a huge amount of our rolling funding too. We took that into consideration because they already requested the 1,200, and we had 10,000 left. That was 10% of our rolling funding, and we tried to. At Finance Committee, we tried to balance between, is this going to affect all of it? Is this worth 10%? And at the time, it didn't seem like a plausible event since it was already since they were requesting for their 6th trip.
Oh, Representative Christofferson?
Point of information, how large is the fencing club?
Representative Toomey?
We have now 52 dues-paying members.
Vice President Williams?
For fall 2012, Fencing Club received a total of $1,320.
Representative Shaw?
Yeah, point of inquiry, out of curiosity, is there a cap on how much each group can receive during rolling funding or anything like that? I understood that it should be taken into consideration of the whole, but is there any specified cap?
Vice President Williams?
Per kind of I forget, I'm pretty sure it's in our, I know at least in our funding bylaws that new organizations cannot receive more than $500 throughout a semester, and current organizations cannot receive more than $5,000 throughout a current semester unless, for example, in the case of footlighters, in case we specifically authorize that, and we have to vote for that effect.
We are at time for discussion. So if there's not a motion to extend discussion, we'll move into the vote. Representative Toomey?
Move to extend discussion by 5 minutes.
Is there a second? 5 minutes. Is there a second to the motion to extend? Okay, seeing none, the motion fails. So, okay. Is there any objection to extending by 2 minutes? Great. Seeing none, we'll extend by another 2 minutes. Are there any further points? Vice President Brown? Granted. Treasurer Payne?
Just going back to the question of how many members the fencing club has, I think we should use the number on Spartan Link. I don't know what that is right now, but
Okay.
it's
Vice
42.
President?
We got that. Okay.
How many members do they have on Spartan Link?
42.
42. Thank you. Vice President Fitch?
I kind of feel like we should uphold our finance committee's decision until fencing club comes in to appeal it themselves, if they so choose to do so.
Chair Dooner?
I disagree with Treasurer Payne and if they're paying money to be part of the club, I think that should be more representative of the true number of people in the club than how many people are ready have clicked the button and gone through the collegiate link thing.
Vice President Williams?
I guess to respond to that, when we make a lot of our decisions, like for example, when we deal with when groups want T-shirts, we go off the number that is on Spartan Link because that is at least a recorded number, and that we just you're right. It is very easy to just click the button. Believe me, I know it's easy. When I see some of the group recognitions that come through, I know some of those people just gave permission to use their case ID, but we have to have some medium, and so because that is our official kind of record keeping, at least for our financial purposes, we also extend that to our group management. So,
any other points for discussion?
I was just curious. I agree with Representative Fitch that we don't know the length of these trips. We don't really have an idea of whether this is a big tournament or not. So I say we wait to reconsider this at the point.
With that, we've reached extended time for discussion. Is there another motion to extend? If not, we'll move into the vote. Okay. Vice President Gallo.
Call to previous question.
Okay. Any objection to any discussion? None. Great. So we'll move into the vote now. So whenever Parliamentarian Gladys has it ready, it is ready now. You may begin voting. Please vote A, yes, in favor of passing Bill B 22-04. B, no, opposed, and C, to abstain. President Hale?
Just while we're voting, I wanted to give Colin some accolades for the use of appendices. Like, much improved over previous years. So much information there. I think it really goes to show how much thought and effort the Finance Committee is putting into decisions. So thank you very much.
Okay, the vote passes. So Bill B 22-04 passes. With that, are there any other items of new business? Vice President Brown?
Move to introduce the approval of the 2012-2013 Judicial Board.
Okay. Parliamentarian Gladys.
Okay. Hello, everybody. So, this is who expressed interest to me in joining the judicial board. I know in our constitution it says that we need to have 5, but I figured maybe not everyone will always be there, and it might be helpful to have a few extra people. Also, according to our constitution, at least one of those 5 people needs to not be a member of USG and have previous executive experience in a recognized organization, and these people meet that requirement. So it'd be cool if you'd approve it.
Are there any points for the speaker? Representative Christofferson?
Point of information, I'm new to this, but what exactly is the Judicial Board?
The Judicial Board is a group that meets, it's headed by the parliamentarian, and they are charged with the upkeeping of our constitution and bylaws, and attendance reviews and anything like that. So they'll also review our governing docs at the end of the semester and make any necessary changes.
Yep.
If our constitution states that we're alive, would we have to amend the constitution to allow greater members?
In my interpretation of that line in the Constitution, it's that the minimum is 5. I don't think there's necessarily anything bad with having over. Because as I said, there's also the possibility that not all of these people will be able to make it to every meeting, and therefore we could have alternates or anything like that. If anyone has a problem with that, you can say that too.
Representative Ranagoswamy?
My only concern is with that alternative approach, if you have a hearing, let's say, and Christine DeBaz and Elanda can't make it, so all you have are USG members, how would you deal with that?
I wouldn't do that. I would make sure there was always at least one non-USG member present.
Vice President Williams?
I guess a couple of quick questions. First, I see three USG exec members on there. Was there an effort to reach out to the larger assembly to gather more of that interest?
I did at the last GA ask for anyone to approach me, and these are just the people who did. So I know it's also difficult if you notice too, I don't have any first years on the judicial board, which I would prefer to have, but being as they were elected last week, and so if any first years are interested, please also let me know. But at this point, the judicial board has to be approved by the 4th week of the semester, and that's this week. So I'd rather have a group put together and ready to go, and then if anyone needs to change up later, do that.
Well, I guess as a follow-up to that, do we have any 4th years?
We did not have any interested 4th years, but I can fish around for that more.
Any additional points for the speaker? Okay. Seeing none. Thank you, Parliamentarian Gladys. Is there a speaker in the con for approval of this judicial board? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move into discussion. I'll set an initial 3 minutes for discussion. Are there any points? Representative Cruz.
They might be interested. Great possibility. That's a lot.
Representative Toomey.
I'm just point of information here. Would we be able to elect these people and then have additional elections to add perhaps some freshmen or some seniors, just so that, like, in case of emergency, like if for some reason in the next week we needed a judicial board, we would have one.
Parliamentarian Gladys can check in our constitution and bylaws for this, but how I believe it reads is that we simply need to install a judicial board by the 4th week of the semester. It does not say anything about future changes to the judicial board, only that we need to introduce one for approval by this week of school. So as long as I'm not interpreting this inappropriately, it is would be both in order to either table passing the judicial board or to approve the judicial board and to continue to recommend nominations and further justices in the future.
Based on what I read in the Constitution, I agree with that.
Okay, other points? Sorry, if I could get your name before you speak too, just as Sarda. Okay, Representative Sarda.
Point of information for Parliamentarian Gladys. How often and for what reason will the judicial board meet?
The judicial board can meet up to once a week, but I feel like that won't be necessary most of the time. For the most part, it would be for attendance reviews. If representatives stop coming to GA for any reason successively, like a lot, then we would meet with them to discuss why they've not been attending GA or committee meetings. So it's actually not that big of a time commitment in that respect. But yeah, it would not be every week, but every once in a while.
Representative Shaw.
Seeing as that we can amend the members of the judicial board in the future, I would like to call the previous question.
Is there objection to ending discussion? Yes. Okay. With that, we will move into a vote to end discussion. Oh, Representative Shaw withdraws. Okay. You can withdraw. Okay. So, with that, we've also had time for discussion, but unless there's objection, I'm going to extend discussion by 3 minutes because there are a lot of points. So any objection to that? Okay, seeing none, discussion is extended. Representative Choi?
Point of information, how, is it just like a constitutional protocol, or would the judicial board be impacted if
we do postpone this at a week or whatever?
have to at least, as what we were saying up here, is that we have to at least introduce it this week. We don't necessarily have to approve it by this week, but I needed to at least show you what I have as far as a judicial board. I'd rather do it sooner rather than later, because we do meet every other week. In years past, this wasn't as much of an issue because GA was meeting every week. So if need be, we can wait on this. I don't anticipate someone missing 3 GAs before the next GA. But yeah, so if that answers your question.
Representative Thompson?
I also disagree with the location of the more than 5 members. The actual judicial board will be composed of 5 members, in addition to the parliamentarian. Seems
straightforward.
Pretty clear cut to me.
Okay.
It doesn't also have anything about like quorum of judicial board meetings.
For me personally, what I would read in as far as quorum goes is that 5 and the 1 non-USG that it specifies you must have. And I think that would just be fair to whoever is meeting with judicial board.
Representative Choi?
I move to postpone the election of the judicial board until next meeting.
Okay, so we have a motion to table consideration of this matter. Is there a second to that?
In our bylaws, does say they have to be confirmed by the 4th week?
They must be proposed to be confirmed by the 4th week. So we have thus proposed them for confirmation by the 4th week. For anybody curious, this is in our Constitution, Article 7, Section C. So, Representative Shaw?
Have they been successfully proposed at this point?
By my interpretation, yes, as we proposed to approve them. And seeing no objection from our parliamentarian, that is within her interpretation of our Constitution as well.
Yes.
So, again, we have a motion to table approval of the judicial board. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay, is there any dissent to tabling this discussion? Any dissent? Okay. Seeing no dissent, the approval of the judicial board is tabled until the next meeting. With that, is there any other new business? Representative Cruz? Good. Yeah, so we did elect 2 new members, but there were 3 vacancies, so reopening them is within order, as we do have 1 additional vacancy. Are there any nominations for the vacancy for Arts and Sciences representative? Okay. Seeing none for now, if you do have any, please send them into Parliamentarian Gladys. Any other new business? Okay, seeing none, we will move into committee reports. President Hale for the Executive Committee.
Gotta make sure I get a seat on this side next time. Well, we're a little behind schedule, so I'll keep it brief. But I think we owe Tom and the rest of the executive board a little round of applause for an awesome retreat this weekend. So great job to everybody who helped out with that. For those of you that have been involved in planning it in the past or this year, you all know the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes, and to those of you who don't, there's an awful lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. So pat an executive committee member on the back sometime and tell them thanks. I hope you guys enjoyed our guests from Campus Planning and Bon Appetit. I'm interested in having someone here almost every GA, and so are many administrators. But give me feedback about that. If you guys enjoy these presentations from folks about what's going on about the university and opportunities to ask questions, I'll keep them coming. If you guys would rather spend time on business or something like that, I'm totally cool with that. It's your meeting. Tell me how you want me to plan for stuff like that. And the co-sponsorships that we approved yesterday are on there. But with that, I'm open to points.
Any points for President Hale?
Thank you guys very much.
Sorry, there's a point. Representative Shaw?
I just had a quick question for the speaker. If we did want to have a member come and speak of a faculty here, that was interested in addressing the assembly, how would that be approved?
They should contact me, and then the executive committee is actually the group that sets the agenda for the assembly. So we'd talk about it in exec and find a time for them to come in.
Thank you.
Any other points? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, President Hale. For the Student Life Committee, Vice President Vaughn.
Hello. We are very excited to welcome all our new members of the Student Life Committee, including the newly elected representative today. But basically, we have our meeting this week at 4:15 in the USG office. We'll be done by 5, I promise. And the most important thing is that if you could fill out your availability if you're on the Student Life Committee for all the times that you are available in the email that I sent out, so that we can pick a time so that everyone knows a regular time that they can come and address us. That would be much appreciated. I'm open to points.
Are there any points for Vice President Vaughn? Okay, seeing none, thank you. The Public Relations Committee, Vice President Gallo.
Hey everyone. All right, so office hours this week are Friday from 10:30 to noon. If you don't know me yet, come say hi. If you do know me, still come say hi because I'm sure I'll just be sitting there anyway. My little blurb for the week. Hopefully everyone has recovered from an awesome and exciting retreat. I know that I can speak on behalf of the entire executive committee, and James already said already, that retreat went better than planned. I'm not saying or typing that to pat ourselves on the back, also weirdly James said, but to point something else out, which is you guys. Without your exuberant amount of energy, positive attitudes, and willingness to really get the most out of your time at Camp Asbury, it would not have been as productive or fun, and for that I would like to thank you. So business, you can look through that, just general events that we're doing through homecoming, and UPB on Twing Tuesday on October 2nd. And I really want to stress that we want you guys to come out to these events. There's a Google Doc that we'll send out again, just asking for you to sign up, give some of your time, spread the awareness on campus. Oh yeah, committee, because I know you guys want to come to that. Come meet me. We are in the Village, House 5, because that's where I live, so it's kind of convenient, from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Wednesday. And, oh, there was one more thing I wanted to say about the business. As you guys know, or at least the old members know, on campus we weren't really involved a lot last year with other groups, and we're trying to change that because PR isn't just internal or external or advertising. It's really there's a big collaboration involved with other groups too. So we're really trying to tailor our external image to be more collaborative with other groups. And I think, as you can see in the business, we are partnering with UPB and IFC, UPB's University Program Board, IFC's Interfraternal Congress, yeah. So they're government too, apparently. So with these partnerships, I really feel like we're starting to penetrate that kind of external PRing, and it's really something that has eluded us in the past, and I am really excited about that. So share my excitement, please. And fun fact, woo, I know you guys always look forward to this. Case Western Reserve University researchers have found that KLF15, I knew what it was, but if you don't, Kruppel-like factor 15, which is a protein which is not found in just meat, by the way, naturally occurring in the body, controls the body's ability to burn fat during exercise. They believe that one day they will be able to induce similar effects of KLF15 using medication, so in like a pill or something, so burn fat, sit on the couch, watch TV, eat chips. So there's the link for that. Any points or anything for me?
Any points for Vice President Gallagher? Representative Thompson.
Yeah, so I actually put that on there. I glossed over it. Representative Spotlight, we're actually going to make questions for that during our committee meeting because they're always interesting and exciting things. So once again, if you want to be a part of that extravaganza, come to the meeting. And those will start next GA.
Any other points for the speaker? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Vice President Gallo. Next up is Information Technology, Vice President Brown.
Out of respect for my other VPs, since I got sick at retreat, I'll stay over here so I don't contaminate the podium. But everything that I really have, yeah, I mean, I was glad to start retreat with a bang, but it definitely has hit me hard. So I'm really just up in the points.
Everything is not board report, so points. Any points for Vice President Brown?
Okay, thank you. Finance Committee, Vice President Williams.
Good evening. So just some numbers to throw at you that have the correct fractions this time. We have currently have a little $6,365.42 left in our rolling funding budget, which just to kind of give you a picture of what's happened. In the years past, our mass funding amount that we can allocate during for that one time during for the prior semester for the next semester has been 130,000 or so. This year we had 170,000, so that's an additional $40,000 that we were able to allocate. And on top of that, groups are still coming back for money because they still want to have more awesome events. So that's awesome. So go to a student group event. Go and say, hey, we helped fund that. Or I guess go enjoy. Go enjoy Fencing Club's new equipment if you want to. And that's a little, so we basically, we have given out a little under half, and our treasurers have been so hard at work. They have dispersed over $15,000. Y'all, that's a lot of money. But to kind of, again, give you that perspective, we have $180,000 basically that we're about to give out to student organizations over the course of the semester. So they've only done about a little under a ninth. Is that it? Yes. So next time you see a treasurer, yes, Laura, you do have a long way to go. But you know, they work hard. You know, it's not always the most sexy job, but it's a good administrative job. So under the denied request section, as you can see, the My Little Pony fan club. Sorry. That's what I was going to talk about too. At Case Western Reserve University will not become a recognized USG organization. They had a lot of stuff together, and in the end, we decided that we were setting a dangerous precedent. We decided that it was too limited of an interest, and we did not feel like the group could sustain itself over the years. So those were the primary recognitions for not recognizing it. As a note, don't follow what I did. Especially when we're talking about these kinds of things outside General Assembly, remember that we need to be professional about these organizations, and that that these are organizations that did want to form, and that I know that we now have it on camera that I laughed, which is bad. So don't do that. We need to extend this respect to all of our student organizations. So with that, I'm open up to points.
Any points, Representative Shaw?
Yeah, could they reapply or appeal your decision, or not yours, but the Finance Committee's decision?
Absolutely. And in fact, what we're kind of in the works of, and what we're going to go back and do with them, is we're going to work to create we're going to refocus the club more as of a kind of television appreciation organization of sorts, that almost parallel with the Film Society does, but with television. Because, for example, I've now been approached by at least 2 other students. One of them interested in starting a Doctor Who fan club, and there was another one, I'm blanking on the name of the television show, but that both of them wanted to start it, and so we're going to kind of see if we can bring them all together and to see if we can be one organization. So, yes, we are going to work with them on that.
Any other points for the speaker? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Vice President Williams. Academic Affairs, Vice President Fitch.
Okay, I think I have to agree with James on sitting closer to this side. Like to iterate that hope everyone enjoyed retreat, and I know my favorite part is always the bonfire and sticky s'mores and all that fun box and right angle gamedness. I don't even know. But in the board report is the list of some of the ideas that we came up with. They're kind of general right now, but we're going to try and tailor them to people's more specific interests and concerns. and academic affairs will be meeting tomorrow at 6:30 in the USG office. Hope everyone is excited and can come. Any questions?
Any points for Vice President Fitch? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Do either of our treasurers have anything to report?
Once again, my office hours, I'm not here from 12:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And also, treasurer thrilling talks. These are just going to be like talks tailored to you guys, just so like advice that you can get throughout the week. This week is itemized receipt. This is to help us. Please, please, please tell your treasurers of any group that they need itemized receipts. I've already denied so many requests because they're not itemized. And we want to give you back your money. We promise we're not bad people, just the other people above us don't like when we don't give itemized receipts. So just give them to us. It makes our lives easier. We can bang out all of those disbursements in like one sitting. So thank you. I'm open to points.
Any points for Treasurer Ridgway? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Chair Dooner?
Too far away, so I'll just stay here. We talked at retreat, the returning reps, we talked, so I'll share with the broader audience, about two things. USG mentoring, if you want to mentor an appointed representative, someone that joins through throughout the course of the year, shoot me an email. And also about the appointing process, if you have good questions to ask of appointed people that are going to be appointed, also shoot those to me. I'm looking to make a list that we can just send out to the people that are nominated for positions, so that they can have a good formal idea of what we might ask them. So send me an email, please, people. And if you're elected today, I'd love to chat with you briefly afterwards. Thanks.
Any points for Mr. Dooner? Okay, seeing none, my turn. My office hours are listed. It's also by appointment, so if you'd like to meet with me and you can't make it then, email me, let me know. If you were elected the speaker of your caucus at retreat, please stick around a few minutes after the meeting so you can meet with me. It should just be like 4 or 5 minutes or so. Also, if you are not sure what committee you are on, potentially because you were not at retreat, you can see Secretary Digby after the meeting tonight, and he will have those for you. Also, if you were just elected tonight, if you could please see him so we can get down a committee that you will be serving on. And that's all I have. So that's the end of committee reports. Moving into open forum. Oh, are there any questions for me, I guess, first? I forgot. None. Okay, moving into open forum. Any points for discussion for the assembly? Remember, this isn't announcements quite yet. Any points you'd like the whole assembly's feedback on?
Point of personal privilege.
Great. Representative Toomey?
I was actually just thinking about something that we talked about last year with the inter-organization calendar, about trying to have like a Google Calendar between all of the big organizations to help people plan things. I was wondering if anyone had ideas about that, because I know that at the SEC meeting on Thursday, they are planning to discuss that. I was wondering if anyone had something to say.
Vice President Brown?
It's one of our committee's goals for this year is to help work on that. There's a new INSPEC committee being formed, which is the advisory board for Webconic, as well as the other upper IT professionals that is focused on web content creation. So that's involves everything from replacements to Filer, as well as a universal calendar, which currently is not in existence. So a universal events calendar for campus is currently events are spread through multiple calendars. So that's one of the goals for the year is to get that centralized.
Representative Shaw?
Is this a Spartan Link calendar thing that I heard about, or no? No. I was talking about what my interpretation of it was like a Google Calendar thing. So.
Vice President Williams, you are beaming to share a report with us.
Spartan Link, it's one of those things that there's a lot of like hidden gems in it. And like, for example, President Hale recently really worked hard to get the USG office as a reservable space on there. And it's actually something that kind of combining that with its flyer board capabilities, which right now has all the finance committee flyers, which is kind of encouragement. We have a calendar on Spartan Link. Use it. Encourage groups to put their events on there. Because another fun fact, events that go on Spartan Link automatically go on the info boards. So, but you didn't know that one. Because there was actually one at one of the President Treasure workshops that was James Hale's birthday, and that one actually made it up onto the flyer board accidentally. So I know it works that way. So encourage your student organizations to put them up on Spartan Link. They'll put them up on a calendar, and it'll even recommend events to you based on your own interests. So.
Any other points for open forum? Vice President Vaughn?
Tomorrow I'm meeting with Dick Jameson and Don Kamalski about two different parts of bikes on campus, specifically regarding the quad. And I wanted to hear people's feedback first with the prevention of bikes on the binary walkway, as well as people's opinion on the bike lanes on the quad.
Representative Thompson.
Widely ignored and widely ignored.
Any other points, Mr. Junior?
Like over time, people might come to respect the bike lanes a little bit more. My concern is that the path for bikes that isn't the binary walkway goes through that sketchy Crawford parking lot area, and like the greenies pull in there and take up most of the lane. It seems a little unsafe to me, and the binary walkway is really wide, so I disagree with the binary walkway restriction.
Representative Sarda?
I'm actually a biker myself, and I first saw the no bikes on the binary pathway sign maybe last week, I think. So there's actually a path that doesn't go through the Crawford Hall parking lot. If you go down on Adelbert a little bit and then you turn right, it leads to the end of the binary pathway, which then leads you into the quad. So that's a path for bikes.
Representative Toomey?
I think that the bike lanes and the restriction are well-intentioned but poorly thought out, because for the time being, nobody is going to respect those, because people just are going to bike out of the bike lanes, and people are going to walk in the bike lanes, and like, unless there is incredibly strict enforcement, it's just not going to work. And I don't think they're going to really crack down on this, because that would be a real waste of manpower.
Representative Christofferson?
Another thing to keep in mind with the bikes is that they are also destroying some of the greenery and some of the grass, so over time that could also incur more costs. I'm noticing a lot of the people, especially in the quad, just riding on the grass instead of using the pathways or even the bike lanes. And the more that it can occur, I mean, if by destroying the lawns, just increase the costs. So if we can figure out a good way to funnel all the bikes along bike paths, that could also decrease the issues.
Okay, I see a lot of hands. I'm gonna take the next 3 points, and then you're more than welcome to contact Vice President Vaughn with more thoughts after that. So if you have a really important point, still keep your hand up. Representative Giannini?
I think one thing that would be needed is like positive sign for like directing bikes, because right now all we have is no bikes here, no bikes here. It seems like there is confusion over where bikes go. So I think like a positive sign, like possibly like with an arrow, would be like.
Representative Cruz?
About this at Minister's speed dating, so I was initially really excited to see it finally happen, because he told me then it was going to happen. But I think the execution, as someone said, wasn't very well thought out. I think that bike lanes might be more useful on Mather Quad, where the sidewalks are a lot narrower, and especially with the construction for the new university center, the routes that people have to take through, the north side of campus are a lot more difficult to navigate, whether pedestrian or biker, with both taking up the same spaces. The quad's a lot more spacious for both parties.
Representative Meston?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, like, a long time, I think the physical things that are in place are not necessarily very efficient, but there's been nothing in terms of like PR about any sort of delegating things. A lot of people are talking about lack of respect on both sides, I think, of pedestrians and bikers. I think if we had something where we were talking about, like putting, some, I guess like a PR campaign or something together so that people would respect like either side, or maybe just a little bit more, be a little bit more aware, that there are like A bike lanes, maybe like routes that they can go, places that you're not supposed to go, instead of just having things just happen without people really knowing what's going on.
Okay, that'll be our points for the biking topic for now. If you do have more, please do contact Vice President Vaughn. I'm sure he'd be happy to work with you on those. Are there any other topics for open forum discussion? Okay, seeing none. Colleen, is there an advisor's report this evening?
For those of you that I did not meet at the retreat, I'd love to, if you would like to introduce yourself. And if you weren't there, my goal here is to help you when you develop caucus plans or committee plans and you're assigned something that you need a little guidance with. I'd be happy to help you. Also, I have a question, I think, for Andrew. Do you know where the notes went from the returning rep session?
Yeah, they're in the office.
Okay, they need to be typed up. There were so many wonderful, wonderful suggestions from that session that I want to bring to, make sure it comes to exec. So that's something for exec on next Monday, James. But one of the things was, I wanted to ask, in the new rep, was there any discussion on the business casual versus, in other words, the dress protocol for the meeting? Has that been determined for sure officially? The returner reps were very clear that they wanted business casual, so I didn't know if.
Yeah, it was announced as business casual, and it's been put that way in all of the emails out to Assembly
Okay,
as well
great.
for
All right.
reminders.
Just wanted a reminder about that. And then other than that, just welcome to a new year. This is it. It's time to get to work. So thanks.
For anybody who doesn't know, Colleen is our wonderful USG advisor. So if you haven't met her, do go introduce yourself. She is a wonderful resource for all of us. So with that, we'll move into announcements. I'm going to steal the first one by saying that USG this year for homecoming is participating in the sort of office decorating competition around campus. So as such, we're dividing up into the office into 4 sections, which corresponds to one of your Olympic teams from retreat. If you're not sure what your Olympic team is, talk to members of your caucus. They're on the same team with you. But so we will be meeting up by caucus and sectioning off areas. We're going to do this competition sort of all at once in a group. So next week during our off week at 7, our normal GA time, I will have all of the decorations available, and we're going to do a timed hour for who can decorate the office best using the pool of resources I bring you in that hour. The
judging is that morning. I'm sorry.
Oh.
So when you guys compare the judging?
It was. I thought it was Thursday.
No, judging is 11 to 1 on the 25th.
Well then, I was incorrectly informed. This will be happening at some point.
Maybe over the weekend?
Look for an announcement, probably sometime this weekend. But well, there was my announcement anyway. Any other announcements, Vice President Williams?
Why should we decorate the office in the first place?
And that is a good question. So, individually, though, whichever country wins the office decorating, I will have a special prize for. But additionally, if USG wins the office decoration party, the winning team will be treated with a pizza party. So, you know, twofold rewards if you do really well, both individually and then USG altogether. Lots of fun and exciting rewards coming your way. So, any other announcements? Treasurer Ridgway.
Just so everyone knows, Nacho Tuesday is at Sigma Nu tonight. If you don't know what Nacho Tuesday is, it's at the Sigma Nu house. We just, every once in a while, all of a sudden, bang, there's nachos out, and you get to eat them. So, it's fun.
Yeah, Secretary Digby.
Just as a side note, Levi, I'm sorry I keep getting your office hours wrong. I'm gonna fix it. Also, to everybody who's new or who just got elected, I'm gonna be sending out an email. For the roster, we just keep some basic contact information, just your phone number and your alternative email if you have one. So please look for that and answer it, because I don't want to leave those spots empty. Thank you.
Representative Cruz? Nachos are at 10 this evening. President Hale, do you have an announcement?
Colleen and I have the pleasure of sitting on a committee called the Tinkham-Beale University Center something group. It's responsible for creating or recommending some operational policies for the new student center. And obviously student groups that we recognize have a huge stake in the way that the center is operated. And so I would like to get with some groups and figure out way they'll interact with the space and what they desire and what their needs are. But I'd like to create some innovative way of doing it that will attract more responses than from the handful of groups we always hear from when we ask for feedback. So if you're interested in helping me out with that, I mean, like, I have my ideas, but I know there's some better ideas out there. So please let me know. It meets about once a month, so there's a lot of time to do this work. But I'd really appreciate some help, and anybody that has like cool ideas about gathering about something like that, let me know.
Other announcements? Vice President Callow?
More of a question posed to the assembly, but really Levi. I'm sure everyone's wondering, will there be juice at Nachos Tuesday tonight?
There was like blue juice over the like sorry, that sounded really bad, but no, not normally, just like water.
Okay.
No juice.
Typically there is not juice at Nacho Tuesdays. I'm sorry.
Okay. And then second, I was just going to say, I'm really excited for USG GAs and all the new members. Yeah, I'm excited to meet all you guys and stuff, so yay.
Hi, I just wanted to introduce myself again. I'm Abby Dwernick, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Student Sustainability Council, which is an ad hoc of USG, so that's why I come as a liaison. And also, we're starting our Sustainability Speaker Series, which we call S Cubed, because it sounds cooler, next Wednesday at 7:30 in Twing somewhere. If you're interested, let me know. The speakers are going to be the Director of Sustainability, the Director of Facilities, and the Recycling Manager. And it might not be as cool as Nachos, but it's still going to be pretty awesome.
Other announcements? Representative Shaw?
For the members of the student body that actually watch this Media Vision or whatever group this is, applications for the EMRD are due on the 27th. Get on that.
Representative Thompson?
Back to Nachos for a second. I'll try to make something happen with the juice. And then, for those of you who don't know where Sigma Nu is, it's on South Side. If you like walk towards Fribley, look to your left, there's a whole bunch of Greek houses, and there's a giant Sigma and a giant Nu.
Vice President Vaughn?
I sent out an email to all of DA once the freshmen were elected with all the information for everything we're doing for homecoming. If you could fill out the Google Doc if you're interested so that we can actually commit to the things that we signed up for, that would be really beneficial. Thank you.
Vice President Williams?
Just to nip all the Nacho Tuesday questions in the bud, I move to adjourn.
Vice President Callow? Hold on, Vice President Callow?
This is actually a semi-important announcement. I'm going to be sending out an email later. I forgot to mention this during my board report about I Am Sports. The reason I bring it up is because a couple of the sports sign-up dates are deadline is Saturday, so they'll be passed by next GA. So don't just gloss over my email tonight, please, if you're interested at least. So thanks. Move to adjourn.
Okay. With that, caucus chairs, please see me. Is there any objection to adjourning? Seeing none, we're adjourned.